Sport is played in other countries, cultures, and climates, and we are so pleased to welcome Ali here to Golf Central with us today. Ali, your latest article is about the series of caddy tournaments across the country. You call them the Caddy Majors, is that correct?
That's right, yeah, there's about probably 10 especially iconic caddy tournaments that are all around the country. And they really play out at some of the most exclusive clubs on the whole continent. Mm-hmm. So we're talking things from stroke play events to club versus club matches. You got the Geary Cup, which is like Shinnecock versus national caddies. So there is a whole circuit of kind of secret caddy majors that exist.
How'd you hear about all of this?
Yeah, so I caddied at St. Andrews for 11 summers.
And by the way, shameless plug for you, great book, An American Caddy at St. Andrews. Fantastic book if you're going to go.
Thank you.
Definitely read it. But anyway, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
We had a caddy tournament every season towards the end, and it was something we looked forward to the whole summer, you know. So it was something always on my radar, right, the caddy tournaments. But last year, a Maidstone caddy who I met told me he was going to play in this big caddy tournament the next week at Atlantic, and it was going to be called the Berkeley Cup. And it was 72 caddies from all these iconic Hamptons clubs out in Long Island. Mm-hmm. So Shinnecock, National, East Hampton,
Friars Head, Maidstone,
the Bridge, Sabonic.
Right,
so it seemed like too much fun. So I took the Long Island Railroad out, went to the tournament, and that sort of just unleashed this whole stream of other caddy tournaments I started learning about. So I kept digging. Mm.
So those of us who cover the PGA Tour know that some of the caddies, at least who are out on the PGA Tour and the LPGA Tour, they were once extraordinary competitive golfers. I think of Dwayne Bach, who caddies on tour, used to caddy for Kevin Kisner. Mm-hmm. He won the North and South Amateur. Our own Bones Mackay was a college golfer. On and on we go. What's the skill level like among these caddies out here?
Well, that's the coolest part of it. The skill level is just sky high. There's the Pebble Beach Caddy Cup is between the caddy yards of Pebble, Spanish Bay, Spyglass, and Cypress. And last year, a Cypress caddy shot 65 in the final round, didn't even win it. The caddy from Pebble, Troy Armstrong, set a tournament record, 6 under for 72 holes. One guy, Todd Yesvold, a Spanish Bay caddy, shot 62 in qualifying. So it's remarkable. I mean, at the Berkeley Cup, we had last year, 8 current or former pros in the caddy field. So it's remarkable, especially when you think of how many caddy rounds everyone's doing during the season, right?
Yeah, it could be a little intimidating to have a caddy like that on your bag, I think.
Well, two of the guys I met who were really the superstars of the caddy ranks were playing. One was Eugene Smith, and he basically he caddies at Nashville during the summer, Seminole during the winter. 9-year player on the Canadian Tour, was on Big Break Prince Edward Island. He shot 59 at his home club. And then on the West Coast, his counterpart, if you will, is Casey Boynes, 67 years old. He's looped at Pebble for 43 years, which makes him the #2 caddy at Pebble.
I read that.
Right, he's a legend. He's in the California State Golf Hall of Fame, and he's qualified for 18 USGA events, including the US Senior Open in 2010. So if there's a caddy tournament, Casey Boynes has probably played in it, probably won it.
All right, so it begs the question, Casey Boynes is #2, what'd you say, 43 years? Mm-hmm. Who's been caddying longer than that?
Yeah, he got pipped by one guy.
One guy.
Caddy nicknamed Rocket, who's been there 45 years.
Okay.
So he was close, he was close.
All right, maybe this is a silly question, but in these caddy tournaments, do caddies have caddies?
A lot of the time, yes. So at that same tournament, the Caddy Cup, it's 1 round on Pebble, 1 round on Spanish, 1 round on Spyglass, and then the Golden Goose is the round at Cypress. So a lot of family members will come down and they'll caddy on the Cypress round. I mean, at the Berkeley Cup at Atlantic last year, you had so many caddies coming to loop for their buddies. And we're talking, Jimmy, like turning down big paydays at their home clubs to come caddy. You even had caddy masters there who were sort of serving as de facto Ryder Cup captains. So it was just great. I mean, they were there supporting, that's for sure.
All right, I love your research, because reading any of your articles and your books, it's like you're just reading stream of consciousness stuff, which is always what good writing is all about. Tell me about some of the caddies that stood out. You found out about. Who stood out to you? Well,
a lot of them happened to come into view at the Caddy Open, which is kind of the biggest of the caddy tournaments.
Caddy Open.
Yeah, 152 caddy yards compete in this thing. So it's local qualifying, sends them to 7 regionals, which then winds up with the 14 of them going to the national finals. All expense paid trip, and here we are, we're seeing it right now. It's at Pinehurst. All expense paid trip to Pinehurst, 36 holes on Pinehurst number 4, and a little known course named Pinehurst number 2. And so I met so many guys down there, Jimmy. The Murray brothers are there. Tom and Jim Murray both qualified. The number 1 and number 2 caddy at TPC Sawgrass. Tom Murray played in the 05 U.S. Amateur at Marion. And then there was this guy, Edgar Rodriguez, 51 years old, 25-year caddy at LACC. He's from Mexico originally. He won the regionals down in, oh, there he is. Edgar's the best, LACC caddy. 11 of Edgar's family caddy at LACC. He won the regionals at Goat Hill Park down in Oceanside. He wasn't even going to come to the finals. His members at LACC had to convince him. He had never been to the East Coast before, his longest flight ever. He said, Oliver, this is a great experience for me. I used to ride bulls, now I play golf. He was quite a guy.
So obviously there's this big time circuit of caddy events, and that kind of makes me wonder, can you make any money doing this? What are the purses like, and who provides it?
It's different. A lot of the time it's bragging rights. At the Berkeley Cup, you are playing for a $2,000 scholarship that the foundation gives out to each member of the winning squad. Often it's bragging rights. But one of the guys who's really trying to make a run at this was also at the Caddy Open, Brandon Pierce. Now, he ended up winning it. 29 years old, Pinehurst caddy, so he's a local kid. When he was a sophomore at LSU 2015, he broke the scoring record at the school. 26 years had been held by David Thompson. He beat it. He led his team to the national title, and they win. That night, Brandon dove into a pond with his teammates and fractured his neck.
Oh, my goodness.
Not making this up. The doctors told him he may never walk again before the surgery. 3 months later, he was playing golf again. He's now played in several Korn Ferry events, and he's actually missed Q School finals by 1 shot twice. So he was back down here. He's been caddying at Pinehurst. He's gearing up for another Q School run. Did 175 rounds at Pinehurst last year, and his dad was caddying for him. It was something.
Wow, this sounds like a movie. You might have a good screenplay here. The Caddy Open sounds like the big fish, the biggest of them all. How do you qualify? You touched on it a little bit just a moment ago, but is that the biggest, and how do you qualify?
It is, because you got your Riviera congressional plays in LACC, Valhalla. It's just so many, storied clubs take part. So it's local qualifying first, but if you get through, you then go to these 7 regional qualifiers all over the country.
Just like the U.S. Open.
And then 14 win that kind of Willy Wonka-style golden ticket to get down to Pinehurst, which already happened in December.
Yeah, all right. I mentioned it a moment ago. You wrote that wonderful book about your experiences caddying at St. Andrews, an American caddy in St. Andrews. 11 years, right?
Yeah.
So what was it like taking this journey, being that caddying is so much a part of your life and what you've done in the game?
I mean, it was great. Just around men and women that just love the game so much, and more than that, Jimmy, they've made it their lives, right? They've made it their actual what they base their career and lives around. So at these tournaments, all of the caddies are looking around and seeing other peers of theirs, meeting them for the first time. With one look, you just know they know the birdies and bogeys of each other's season, They just get it. And there were so many dads down at, like the Caddy Open, had so many dads caddying for their kids. So we're talking all these 60-year-old men who are down supporting their sons who've chosen this life in golf. It was all men who made the 14. And they're just there supporting their kids and trying not to lose head covers. And a lot of dads lost head covers. It was happening a lot. There was one guy, Luke, who was reading a putt. His dad was caddying for him. He's rummaging around the bag, and he whispered to someone, "Oh no, I've lost his head cover." Luke comes right up. His dad is totally caught red-handed, and he looks at his son and he just says very accusingly, "You got your yellow head cover?" Like, no, I don't think he does.
Anybody who has ever carried a bag understands that job one, do not lose the head cover.
Right.
What do you think the future of caddying is? Because in some places, I grew up in the Northeast. I was a caddy when I grew up. I know it's basically standard operating procedure around here, but there are places where caddies, it's a foreign language. What do you think the future of it is?
Yeah, well, I think it's solid. And I talked to so many caddy managers across the country. I really got this kind of 30,000-foot view of where caddying is going, and I really think it's on the up and up, just with the popularity of golf continuing to rise. But also, Jimmy, you got all of these caddy scholarships, the Evans, right?
The granddaddy of them all.
Thank you, exactly. The Francis we met. So all of these scholarships providing a chance, I think, for teenagers to get into the game, just like I'm sure you did, like I did when I was 12 and started the caddy. So I think when you get those kind of scholarships propelling it forward, it's gonna be there.
Last question for you. What are these tournaments, these great caddy tournaments that you went in search of, what do they represent to you? Are they just tournaments or are they something more?
Well, I think it's two things. It's member appreciation to caddies, right? For a long season of hard work. Yep, yeah. And the members love them and they're so excited for them. But I think it's also a chance for the caddies to finally hit their own shots, right? Read their own putts, test out their skills, represent their club. It's kind of like if you work at a restaurant all the time and then you finally get to sit down and eat the food yourself and get waited on, how special that would be. And in caddying, it doesn't happen that often. It's a long season of double bags. And so when you get that chance, I think ultimately, it's a chance for the caddies to have their moment in the spotlight, and they deserve it.
They absolutely do. Oliver Horovitz, we like to call him golf's freest spirit. Good to be with you. Thanks for coming in. Golf Central rolls on right after this.